Phoenix Mercury star Brittney Griner could be sent to a Russian labor camp if she's not freed in the next 2 weeks.
This is according to her wife, Cherelle, who sat down with CBS News for an exclusive interview. Here's Gayle King.
On his face, it just seems like my wife is a hostage. To know that our government and the foreign government is sitting down and negotiating for her release, she's a hostage.
What do you believe that it will take to bring her home now?
I feel like at this point, it's gonna take Putin to have that same mindset and say, you know what? Brittney Griner, who came to my country for 7, 8 years and helped my country be recognized through sport, pay taxes in my country, help my country. I'm gonna sit at a table and I'm going to be clear about what I need in return for her release so that we can actually get a meeting of the minds between these two governments.
In February, authorities found 0.7 grams of cannabis oil in Brittney Griner's possession at a Moscow airport.
I have heard so many stories about this exact situation happening with Americans going through Russia, and at the airport they were told, pay a fine and then go on by your day. But because BG is Brittney Griner, I do think that this got really complicated really quickly.
The 6'9" basketball player has a prescription for medical cannabis in her home state, Arizona, for chronic pain. In Russia, no amount of marijuana is legal. Communication between Cherelle and her wife has been very limited. They were not able to talk on the phone until August. That's 6 months after Brittney was arrested. So you were able to hear her voice. You've had 2 phone conversations with her. Share with us what you can about those conversations.
So the first conversation, it was just so delightful just to hear her voice. At that point, I was like, you know what? I think she's okay. We can survive this. The second phone call, the minute I hung up, I think I cried for about 2-3 days straight. I did not get out of my bed. It was the most disturbing phone call I'd ever experienced. And I've known BG 11 years. And so I'm like, that was the most disturbing conversation.
What was disturbing to you?
It was her. Like, you could hear it. Like, you could hear that she was not okay. You know, if you think about just a person suffering and when they have suffered to a max, like, you could hear that, like, she was at the max that day. And I'm like, God. And there was nothing I could do, you know? So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, it was like 30 seconds to 2 minutes of range. We're just sitting on the phone, just literally in tears, just crying. And it's just the most still, I think, moment I've just ever shared with my wife. I didn't have words, because at that point I'm like, I don't know if she has anything left in her tank to continue to wake up every day and be in a place where she has no one.
Cherelle is hoping that a prisoner swap between the United States and Russia will happen before an October 25th appeal hearing. What could happen to Brittney in 2 weeks?
In my brain, I'm like, please, in 2 weeks, have figured this out. But the reality of the situation is that once that hearing is held and the order is finalized, BG's now in the position where she could be moved to a labor camp. And my brain can't even fathom it. She's not herself. When I see her, she's not herself. I say she's strong because how are you still standing? Like, how are you still alive going through this? But BG's at her absolute weakest moment in life right now. She's very afraid about being left and forgotten in Russia or just completely used to the point of her detriment. Because she's like, you know, saying things to me like, my life just don't even matter no more.
Is that what she said to you?
Yeah.
My life doesn't matter?
Like, I feel like my life just doesn't matter. Like, you guys, like, y'all don't see me. Like, y'all don't see the need to get me back home. Am I just nothing? Like, and those are all valid emotions to feel, and I don't have answers for it, except the fact that your life matters to me. And I want to get you back home, and I'm going to continue to pray every day that, you know, the people that are the decision makers in this situation will have mercy and will sit down, and they will too see that your life matters and do whatever they can to agree on terms.
Gayle King,